2, 1.
Hello, we're back. So we will proceed to the discussion on structural functionalism. This is one of the social theories. The first that we talked about was consensus theory and conflict theory, and this is now the third, structural functionalism. So structural functionalism states that society is made up of various institutions that work together in cooperation. And according to Parson, structural functionalism has four functional imperatives, also known as AGIL scheme or AGIL. So what are these? A stands for adaptation, G, goal attainment, I is integration, and L is latency. So let's see. When we talk about structural functionalism, think about the root words. What are the root words in the structural functionalism? What words can you create or can you get from the word structural? Structure, correct. How about functionalism? Function, okay. So, if there is a structure, there must be a function. Okay? So, in our physical body, we have the eyes as part of our structure, physical structure, and we know the function of our eyes, no? And that is to see. So, in social science, if there is a structure, there must be a function. So, let's take an example of King's College. What is the structure? Have you seen the organizational structure of King's College? So, you see there the highest in the organizational structure is the chairman, or the board of trustees, the board of trustees. And below the board of trustees, we have the director. And below the director, we have for the college department, we have the dean. We have in the high school, we have the coordinator for the senior high school. We have the principal for the high school, junior high school, and the principal for the elementary department. No? So each of those parts of the structure has functions. So let's look at the description of AGIL. So A stands for adaptation. So a system must cope with external situational exigencies. It must adapt to its environment and adapt environment to its needs. Let's go back to the example that I gave you, King's College. So adaptation. King's College has to cope with what is external situational exigencies. It has to cope with the requirements of DepEd to offer or implement the curricular program in a K-12 curriculum. No? Hindi pwedeng magsabi ang King's College, ayoko niyang K-12, ayaw naming mag-extend ng 2 years more in senior high school. Hindi po pwede. You have to adapt. No? So, ganon din sa atin as students, as teachers later, no? You have to learn how to adapt. Okay? Next, goal attainment. A system must define and achieve its primary goals. What do you know about the goals of King's College? You are about to leave KCMI. You will be on your last 2 semesters. You should know what are the goals of King's College. So, a system must define and achieve its primary goals. What are you if you are not able to if you don't have your goals as an organization, and if at the end of a certain period you have not defined your goals, or you have not reached or attained your goals, you have to achieve. Like for example, for you as individual person, you have your goals, right? Your goal is, why are you going to school? Your goal is to complete a bachelor's degree. to become a teacher, no? So you have to finish it. Otherwise, if you don't have a goal, why do you need to go to school? Why do you need to strive hard in your studies if you don't have a goal? Parang go with the wind lang, hindi po pwede. I know each one of you have goals, no? All of us have goals. And we are committed to attain the goal or goals. Okay, the third, integration. A system must regulate the interrelationship of its component parts. So it must also manage the relationships among the other three functional imperatives. So integration. Kailangan naka-integrate ka, kasali ka, no? You have to, what? Manage the relationship. In King's College, that's why I give King's College as an example because you are familiar to it. So in King's College, me as the college dean, the college department has three programs, no? The BS Ed, the BE Ed, and the BAC. So I have to manage the relationships of these three departments. In the same way that I have to look also at the other structures in the organization. The elementary department, how do I relate with them? How does the college department relate with the elementary department, with the high school department, no? So, in the college, we send you as students to the elementary department or to the high school department for your observations, no? Class observations. So, I have to relate. I have to manage my relationship with them. Hindi ko pwedeng aawayin yung principal ng elementary at saka high school kasi I have to integrate also my programs with them, no? I have needs and at the same time they also have needs. What I mean to say is there is interdependency. They need us, we need them also. Okay? And then the last is latency. This is pattern maintenance. A system must furnish, maintain, and renew both the motivation of individuals and the cultural patterns that create and sustain the motivation. So, it has to be maintained. The good relationships, no? How about the motivation? Are you encouraged? So, sometimes there are problems. The teachers in the elementary, they will come to me and say, Ma'am, there are problems with your practice teachers, or there are problems with your first, second year, and third year students during their observation, and I have to maintain, no? I have to maintain, I have to encourage them also, I have to listen to them, no? And then at the same time, speak to the students, ano bang problema, bakit ganito, no? So that we can maintain good relationship. We can maintain our partnership with them. At this, even our partnership with the other schools, we call that cooperating schools for off-campus, no? Otherwise, pag hindi natin naayos yun, something is wrong. Okay? So, those are the 4 imperatives of what? 4 imperatives in the structural functionalism. Pagka ikaw ay organization, dapat maayos ang pang-function mo. Otherwise, masisira ang system mo, no? Okay, next. Functional requisites of a social system. We just, I run through ko lang ito, ha? So, dapat we have to operate compatibly with other systems. Hindi pwede. Sabihin mo, mag-isa lang ako, I will survive. No, you cannot survive. King's College, sinong kapartner niya? Other systems. Sinong kapartner niya? Ang DepEd, ang CHED, no? Agriculture, kapartner niya yan, no? Next, all of the structures in the organization must operate compatibly. Example, yung sa registrar, no? Sa registrar, naayos ko ba? We ask for the list of the students, no? Para ma-check, counter-check namin doon, are the students in the list present in our class? Or Are there students in the class who are not in the list? No? So, ayusin namin yan. Then, go to the treasurer's office and so on. So, we have to cooperate. So, to survive, the social system must have requisite from other systems. Correct. We cannot operate as a school, we cannot operate if we don't have the permit from CHED, from the Department of Education. We cannot have, ito ngayon, we cannot have our face-to-face learning if we do not coordinate with the Department of Health, no? Kaya tayo ngayon nasa online lang tayo, no? Okay, next, the system must meet a significant proportion of the needs of its actors. Who are the actors in the organization? The actors are the workers, the stakeholders. So we must need a significant proportion of the needs. Bakit proportion? Significant proportion na. Ay, yung mga nagtuturo, kailangan nilang sweldo nila. Correct? So, the organization or KCMI should meet the needs of the teachers, of the workers. Okay? In the same way na kami, na mga teachers din, we have to meet your needs also. What are your needs? Ma'am, hina ang signal. Ma'am, ganito, ganito, ganito. Oh, we have to adjust. Okay? The system must elicit adequate participation from its members. Para ano pa sabihin na organization ka if you cannot elicit the cooperation of your members. Okay? Number 5, it must have at least a minimum of control over potentially disruptive behavior. So, control. Sa classroom, dapat aralin nyo yan, no? How to control. Wala pang disruptive behavior. Potential pa lang. If you see your students making gestures of, sige, bantay ka lang karon, you have to stop that immediately, no? Tawagin mo na yung pupil, bakit ganun ang actions niya. Potential pa lang, no? Disruptive behavior. So, pag hindi mo na control, lalala yan. Number 6, if conflict becomes sufficiently disruptive, it must be controlled. So, potential pa lang, i-control mo na. Otherwise, kung maging disruptive na siya, just the same. Baka mas malaki or mas mahirapan kang mag-control niyan, no? Okay, next. Finally, a social system requires a language in order to survive. Pag sinabi mong language, how do you communicate? No? Dapat nagkakaintindihan kayo. So, whether it's kagaya niyan, KCMI is more of a missionary work, no? Kaya yung ibang mga teachers, syempre, parang they consider themselves na dyan ako tinawag sa KCMI, so I serve that. Even if, sabihin na natin, i-compare mo sa public school, syempre, mas malaki talaga ang sweldo sa private school. But, if you have the same language, ibig sabihin, nagkakaintindihan kayo, no? Okay lang. Okay? So, the functionalist perspective is primarily concerned with why society assumes a particular form. You cannot question. Kagaya sa ating government. Bakit ganito ang form of government natin? It assumes that any society takes its particular form because that form works well for the society given its particular situation. Ito yung bagay sa amin no? Ito yung bagay sa amin. So, you cannot question. Just like in the family. Bakit si lola mo ang nag-aalaga sa'yo? Okay. Saan ba si mama mo? Wala si mama nasa work. Oh, so that's the arrangement, no? So, what works well with you, yun ang mangyayari doon sa inyong organization, no? So, pag sinabi mong dapat may head sa agriculture, dapat may head sa BEd, dapat may head sa BSed. Bakit kailangan? Kasi yan ang requirement ng CHED, no? Yan ang requirement ng CHED. What else? Kasi para ma-manage lang mas maayos. Okay? Sasabihin naman ng isa, sa amin wala na, isa na lang, no? Isa na lang. So, siguro sa atin, wala pang specific na head para sa BEd, sa BSed wala din, parang pinag-isa lang yan siya. Sa agriculture, we have a head, they have their head sa agriculture, pero kasi parang kaya pa. But when time will come na malaki na masyado ang population ng DE-Ed tsaka BS-Ed, so magkakaroon siguro ng separate na heads dyan. Okay? So societies exist under a wide range of environmental situations, no? Iba-iba. Okay, the key principles of the functionalist theory according to Farley is interdependency. Na-discuss na natin ito kanina. Interdependency is one department or one structure is dependent on, parang nagkakaanoan sila. So, may kailangan ka sa akin, ako may kailangan din sa'yo. So, we have to support each other. Functions of social structure and culture. Dapat nakaspecify anong function mo. Anong function mo. Like for me, sa college department, as dean, hindi ako pwedeng makialam doon sa operation ng elementary o kaya ng high school department. Consensus and cooperation. There should be agreement, there should be cooperation, no? And equilibrium. Status of what? No conflict, no? No conflict. May mga conflict, but not to the extent na masisira ang organization. Okay? Now, this is the structural functional model according to Ritzer. Social structure provides preset patterns which evolve to meet human needs. Para sa ano, ang iyong organization dapat maka-provide sa pangangailangan, no? Ma-providean or maibigay, ma-meet, the organization must be able to meet the human needs. Like for example, sa KCMI, bakit may mga client tayo, may mga estudyante tayo, right? So, ano yung mga needs nila? They need to learn, okay? So, we have to prepare them. Then, if that happens, dapat stable, dapat may order, at saka in harmony. Otherwise, pag magulo, wala, hindi siya stable, okay? Pag sa kabaliktaran nito, unstable, may disorder, and may disharmony, may magulo, no? And then, if that happens, there is maintenance of, dapat dito, maintenance of society. Ma-maintain yung ating society. So, in other words, you ask yourself, are you part of a something, an organization, or a structure? Yes. As a member of the family, as a member of the family, do you consider yourself as one part of the structure? Sabihin mo, o kaya sa church mo, yes. So therefore, the challenge is, you have to function well. No? Gawin mo ang iyong nararapat na gawin. As a son or daughter, anak ka, pinapag-aral ka, gawin mo yung dapat mong gawin. Ibig sabihin, dapat ay mag-aral. Okay? Let's proceed. So, that ends our discussion on structural functionalism.